Well, welcome to the Mindshift Café. This is where folks come to pause for just a moment, perhaps take a breath or two, and open up space to learn something new in 20 minutes or less. Welcome. It's so nice to have you here today. And our topic is the power of the close when it comes to our presentations and our meeting skills. Well, I really figured that this was a very important topic. Why? Because when people are curating and cultivating presentations and meetings, they spend an exorbitant amount of time on the open. How am I going to open things and introduce myself and start to develop that influence or that persuasion with my audience? And they forget about the close. But today we're going to help you zero in on the close so you can leave with a really solid call to action. And remember, if somebody asks you the question, what's more important, the opening or the closing? I say it's a trick question because they're both just as important. So, a quick introduction. My name is Donna Rastigian Mack. I am the founder and the president of a company called iVoice Communication, and we're based out of Greater Boston, Massachusetts, USA. We are a company that cultivates confident speakers and stronger leaders through effective communication skills. I come to you with more than 30 years of communication experience. I started my career in broadcasting in the media. And then the second half, I really delved into executive coaching, workforce training. I am a professional speaker myself. And then in the year 2017, I also decided to become a certified mindfulness teacher. So we combine all those skills to move forth with iVoice Communication, which helps you calm nerves, rewire old communication habits so you can show up as powerfully as possible. So, our agenda today with the power of the close goes like this. We're going to focus on three things. First of all, how to develop a good close. Of course, how to deliver a decent close and where to position it, which might sound like a strange question, but give us time here, okay? But as we get started, I also highly recommend what you do is you take notes. Take notes as best as you can. And if you're on the call today, anytime you have a question, unfortunately, we can't talk live, but I highly recommend you look at the platform that you're on. On our platform today, the chat box is over on the right, the lower portion of the screen. You'll see chat and you can type in a question anytime, okay? So here we go with the power of the close. Where to position it? Position it at the end if you can. I know from time to time you are part of a larger conversation. I was speaking with somebody not long ago, and they had several people who had to address a board of directors. They were one, I think it was of four particular people that day who needed to address the board of directors. So what they highly recommended that each presenter do is present, for a short amount of time. I believe it was 15 minutes with a short Q&A at the end. Now, that was because they had no control over where the close was located. But I say, when you do have control over where the close is located, do not put the question and answer session at the end. I saw a woman speaking not long ago at a conference, and she was wonderful. I think she spoke for a good 45 or 50 minutes, and you could tell she was trained. She was very versed in her particular expertise. She knew how to open up her presentation and establish her credibility and really reach out and grab people while she, did her best to become as influential as she could be. And her close was decent. I would say I would rate her close as a solid 7 or 8 out of a scale of 1 to 10. However, when she was done, after her close, then she opened it up to a question and answer session. And it really weakened her presentation. Now, she was in a room full of about 150 people. And when she opened it up to Q&A, to the question and answer session, nobody posed a question. You have to remember, in a larger venue like that, a lot of times people are done, right? When you're done, they're done. They want to leave. And a lot of times they're also not comfortable at that particular point, raising their hands, okay, and asking a question. And she really lost an opportunity to end on a powerful close. So again, your close should be right at the end, if at all possible, or when at all possible. Besides that, how to develop a powerful close. I mean, there are a lot of different variations, but if you've ever done work with me in the past, you know I'm a firm believer for reverse engineering a successful presentation. So follow me. When you reverse engineer a successful presentation, what you're doing is you're starting to think about how you want to close. So when you reverse engineer a successful presentation, you ask yourself a few questions like, what am I creating? Is it live? Is it virtual? Who's going to be in the audience? What matters to them? So you're really attuning yourself to the audience, right? And you also, while you're reverse engineering a successful presentation, asking yourself the question, what will be an excellent outcome? And what do I want people to walk away with? So start writing these things down. And you might obviously start to write down things like, I want to build trust with my audience. I want them to get to know me, to feel comfortable with me. Of course, you want to brand yourself if, like me, you own a business. And you might want to sell something, for example. At the end of this presentation, will I have something to sell? I do have something to sell. I have a presentation skills program coming up. And it's not easy to sell in the midst of the 2020s and beyond. You have to remember that selling things is different. It does start with branding yourself. It does start with making that connection and developing trust between you and your audience. And it is vital that you are clear of what you want them to do, the next best steps for them to take. So if you have something to sell, for example, write it down. Remember, if you are not clear and you never ask, then they're never going to buy. They are never going to take the next best steps. So, first and foremost, write down specifically what you want and what you need, and then practice asking for it. Now, as soon as I said that, that might instill a bit of discomfort. You mean I have to be specific, right? Precise in terms of what I want and what I need. And then I need to turn and specifically ask for what I want and what I need. The answer to that is yes. And these very often are not easy skills. That's why we go through a presentation like this called The Power of the Close. Also, if anybody's ever done work with me before and you're on this call today or watching this video, you know that I'm a firm believer that as leaders and as leaders who communicate, we need two things. We need our affiliative skills and our authoritative skills. Now, affiliative skills are your natural relationship building skills, right? Getting yourself up there and out there, taking time to understand your audience. All those things are well and good and very, very important, as are your authoritative skills. What are authoritative skills? Authoritative skills help you move business forward. Authoritative skills are skills, right? Leadership communication skills that help you ask for what you want and what you need. And dare I say, they're also skills to help you tell people what you want and what you need. And very often, we as humans are not taught early on to know what we want and what we need, to get clear about those items. And we're not taught to specifically ask or tell people what we want and what we need. So they are more authoritative skills. And I'm going to ask you a question right now. When you step back, and if I were to ask the following question of you, how would you answer this question? No right or wrong. No right or wrong answer. What comes more easily and naturally to you, your authoritative skills or your affiliative skills? Again, your affiliative skills, those natural relationship building skills, your authoritative skills, having the ability to drive business, having the ability to ask for what you want and what you need, or tell people specifically what you want and what you need to get the job done. I hope you answered that question. No right or wrong answer again. And the good news is, it doesn't really matter how you answered that question. What matters is that two things. First of all, that you're aware of which way you tend to lean, more affiliative or more authoritative. And if you tend to lean more affiliative, then you just need to practice your more authoritative skills, a little bit more than others. Okay? So developing your ask, get clear what you want and what you need, and then practice asking for it. Okay, and now finally, the delivery. And actually stopping down to ask for what you want and what you need. It's not easy work, and we realize that. And there are so many possible scenarios. So for our purposes today, what I decided to do is I decided to come up with 3 potential scenarios. And scenario number 1 goes like this. Say you are indeed selling something. And after your presentation, at the end, you want to ask for what you want and what you need. Here's what I'm going to highly recommend you do. So if this is the scenario, if you are selling something, then odds are you've already met this person or these people, right? The small group of people you are presenting to, that you are going through perhaps a proposal with. And throughout the proposal, you're getting buy-in slowly but surely. And then as you get close to the end where you are positioning your close, you might want to say something like, okay, it sounds like we're pretty thorough here because I listened, I abided, right? I've put everything you told me you wanted and you needed into our proposal. Is there anything else we're missing? And at that particular point, they may say, no, I think we're really good. You did cover everything thoroughly. So when they say that, it's your opportunity to say something like terrific, right? It sounds like I should send over, whatever it is you need to sign, or I should send over the confirmation agreement that you can take a look at, sign it within the next 24 hours, and then we'll be good to go. Now, I always remind people that these are my words, but depending upon what you are selling and what you are putting out there, I say turn it into your words. Turn it into your words. Practice them and get closer to your powerful close. Now, also for the call today, I thought there was a good chance you would be working on creating a presentation that could also be called a very important meeting. and you are gathering a good amount of people. So here's a potential scenario. Here is a potential scenario. Say you have, I don't know, 16, 18, 20 people in the room, and you are running this meeting, and you are starting a really big project. And you realize these three people are working on one portion of the project. These four or five people perhaps are working on another portion of the project. And another group is working on the third portion of the project. And that's what your meeting is all about. You're discussing it, you're talking about it during the meeting. So as you get closer to the end of your meeting, you might want to open it up, right, to Q&A at that particular point before your big close. And then at the end of your meeting, you might want to say something like, it's vital that we all understand that this project is due 1 week from Friday at, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's imperative that everyone connect with me a minimum of 48 hours before we have to get this project out the door. Everybody in this room needs to connect with me by Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's your ask. That is your powerful close. Now, at that particular point, you might want to ask them a question like, do I have buy-in? Does that work for everyone? You want them to say yes. Again, it's an authoritative skill, and it's your opportunity to tell people what you want and what you need. And the last potential scenario I wanted to throw out there today is if you're doing a presentation at a conference, or if you're delivering some sort of speech, some sort of keynote, and at the end of this keynote, you want to move people to action. You want them to take some type of action. Remember, it's your job to develop that when you're reverse engineering a successful presentation, and then ask at the end. For example, say you do a keynote speech on, I don't know, the 6 steps to creating a healthier life. These are the 6 steps you need to take to create a healthier life. You might want to say something towards the end of your presentation like, okay, guys, now here's what I highly recommend. I highly recommend you take a look at the 6 steps that we discussed today and pick one. We can't work on all 6 simultaneously, so pick one and start working on that one, and email me and tell me the one you are definitely going to start with so we can get the ball rolling. So again, these are my words. So what I highly recommend you do is turn them into your words and practice creating a powerful close. You want to close powerfully. Remember, not on a Q&A. You want to close powerfully. So again, we went through a lot today. The power of the close. This is your call to action, something you want to do at the end. You want to develop it as you reverse engineer a successful presentation or a very successful meeting. You don't want that meeting at the end. You don't want people to say, oh, what am I supposed to do? What are the next best steps I'm supposed to take? You want to be clear. And remember, a close, a great close and a powerful close is a more authoritative skill. So practice it. So there you go, guys, the power of the close. Remember, what do I highly recommend you do? What is my call to action as we wrap things up? Remember, this work is experiential. So we learn through experience. So what I'm going to recommend you do is perhaps you listen to this recording again and you practice, you apply these skills as you move forth in your life and in your business. And if you need additional help, please come to the Strengthen Presentation Skills program. We are ready to roll it out again. And remember, presentation skills are awesome. They are the most sought after skills in just about every industry. The Strengthen Presentation Skills program, it's 9 solid hours of group training, 3 hours a day, 3 afternoons, followed by additional one-on-one coaching. And just a reminder, we keep these classes small. It's good for the first 12 people, or shall I say, the first 12 people and 12 leaders to sign up. The Strengthen Presentation Skills program. I'll put all the details in the chat box, or if you have any questions, just contact me. My name is Donna Rustigian-Mack, and again, we are from iVoice Communication. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Mastermind Shift Cafe. Coming up next time on the Mastermind Shift Cafe, leadership and executive presence. What is it, and how can you cultivate more? Join us then, and have a good day. Thank you.